but overall I'm breathing. You know,
Got
it's
it.
like, yeah.
Yeah. Every day as it comes.
Okay. You said every day is a what now?
Every day as it comes.
Yeah, overall I'm breathing. Oh my goodness, I forget sometimes. Okay. Everyone, welcome to Model Talk Tuesdays. I am here with the wonderful Grace Edwards, and it's actually my first time going live. So, Grace, thank you for going live with me on YouTube.
Absolutely. So happy to
Great.
be here.
Yes, Grace, how about this interview caught our initial dialogue of me saying, it's day to day, day to day. So for those of you that are tuning in on YouTube live, I'm learning. I was prepped to kind of just be on point, but thank you all for coming on. I'm a Lady Named Pearl, and I'm the founder of a Lady Named Pearl Leadership Academy. We're a nonprofit organization where our mission is to shape the confidence of girls and women to become future leaders through modeling, leadership, and entrepreneurship training. And every Tuesday, we interview a fabulous soul spirit that's in the fashion industry that I'm hoping, my students can pull some gems from. So I've been following this young lady. Let me see, when did Grace come on my radar?
You are so sweet.
Oh, yes, for real. I think Grace came on my radar probably a year ago. We're both signed to Ursula Wiedmann, and I was just captured, Grace, by your beauty.
Oh my
And
goodness.
and then now, finally I'm getting a chance to work with her. So I worked with her on a Hanes job last week, and I was like, I got to ask her if I can interview her for the students. So Grace, welcome to Model Talk Tuesdays.
Be here. Literally, like the first time when I met you, you were just such a light. And like when you're like, "Oh, do you think would you consider coming on?" I was like, "Absolutely, anything your mind can get behind." So yeah, I'm so glad to be here.
Awesome. So Grace, you are so beautiful, have such an amazing light. So I know you now, but could you kind of take us to the beginning?
Yeah.
Where were you born? And then tell us a little bit about your childhood.
So I was born in Atlanta, but I grew up south of Atlanta on actually a farm. So we had goats and cows and chickens and pigs and all that. But so I kind of did come from down south from a rural area, and it was a nice like slow childhood. You know what I mean? It was good.
So did you have responsibilities on the farm, or like tell me kind of that environment with growing up with those animals? Did you have to wake up in the morning and
Yeah, waking up in the morning, feeding the goats. It was mainly the goats. All the others kind of came and went, but the goats were always there. So, kind of setting the scene, gravel road, barn, my house, and then we go out to the pasture and feed them and all that. So it was around high school that my parents were finally living somewhere that wasn't, and we'd call it a recreational farm because we weren't doing necessarily any like goat milking or anything like that, but it was it was for enjoyment, and it was, the goats was to kind of keep all of the briars and all that at bay. So it was it was just nice. Yeah.
Okay. So what were some of your interests growing up in terms of like, what did you want to do growing up? Did you know that you wanted to
I
be?
wanted to be a vet. I really wanted to be a vet. And but as I got older, like my perspectives just kind of changed a bit, and I made friends with some people that were taking that route, and you grow in and out of things, but I'll always love animals, but I just don't know if I could do it all the time. So it kind of started taking a change for me. Ever since I was young, my mom has done oil painting, and so she does portraits using oil paint. And so she would get a little digital camera and then take me and my sister out somewhere and lean us up against a tree and take a photo of us in like our little dresses, and then she would print it out and then paint us. And so I think it was ever since then I kind of felt like I loved being in front of the camera, but it wasn't just to like be in front of the camera. It's because like I would see such beautiful things made from picture. And, thanks to her, she kind of gave me like my first experience with that. And then I got a little bit older, around like 5 or 6, and she would take me to her art classes, and I would have to, which is really hard for a kid, but I would have to sit still so that they could all draw me. And
Wow.
so I would come in like week after week with her while they were working on a piece. And so I think that's kind of like the baseline of like maybe why I felt it out or felt like capable of it, I guess. The modeling thing is because, a lot of it is like sometimes like standing still, like, waiting for your clothes to get styled or whatever while you're on set. So I think that's a lot to say for my interest.
Oh yeah. So you were modeling, as a little kid. So then that leads me to my next question. Like, what kind of training did you receive? So you were in art class at 5 or 6, posing for these artists. Prior to that, posing for your mother, which is amazing. I'd love to see some of her art, Grace.
Oh yeah, I will send you the link. It's really awesome.
Yes. So in addition to those foundational moments, what type of training did you do to as a model to get into this industry?
I will say that like that was my childhood. And then it was around like later years of high school that I started getting an interest on like doing, quote unquote photo shoots again, where it was just kind of mostly with like friends, like someone who had a nice camera, whatever. And it wasn't until my freshman year of college that I got signed for the first time. And it was actually, Ursula taught me a lot about, having to like, okay, like you need to like keep yourself groomed, and you need to like, when you come to the casting, they're trying to see you. They're not trying to see the clothes that you're wearing. So you need to wear stuff that flatters you, but is like simple and basic and isn't distracting. And also with being a curve model, you gotta, and, straight size modeling as well, but you gotta show off your body a little bit. So I was definitely like, and, when I'm not working, I very much am like a big t-shirt, like chillin' kind of, dress. But I kind of had to like relearn how to dress and how to present myself, and to have my nails and toes done, and just preparing like with like material things, like building that wardrobe up to without breaking the bank or anything, but it's just like nice black tops, well-fitting jeans, and make sure that you're presentable. I think that was my biggest thing in preparation. Ursula actually sent a Pinterest board, and it was like, as a model, you're expected to, carry these things with you, maintain your nails to look around like this, and, to be polite and all of that. So I think the transition was just a lot of, I just kind of had to alter my presence a little bit, but like not in any kind of self-altering way, but just in a
kind of step it up a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Talking about manicuring, making sure that you come with your A game, so that the clients see that you're ready.
Yes. And I think like if you present that you're ready and you have it, like especially like nails and that kind of thing, like, or just whatever it may be, like going to a casting or whatever. I think a big thing of mine was like, I'm trying to think. It was like my nude undergarments, like getting all those together. It was honestly just like making sure I had what I needed,
For that bubble bag.
Yeah.
To step back. So you said that you were signed your freshman year in college?
Yes.
What made you, so you talked about doing photo shoots in high school. What made you say, I'm now ready to, transition to an agent? What was that transition?
Well, I had been shooting with a photographer in Atlanta. His name is Patrick English, but he had told me of Ursula, and I had done some research about, you know, agencies in Atlanta, but I honestly had no idea what, like, that there was any type of curve industry at all. So before that point, I had honestly, like, kind of just ruled it out or whatever, but I decided to just go for it and submit. And it ended up working out that I could, you know, do curve modeling and stuff. But what made me do that is right after my first semester of college, I ended up getting a tonsillectomy, like right in December, right after I had started modeling. And anyway, I ended up having a bad recovery, and I had to drop out my second semester of college for health reasons. And so I had downtime. Like, I wasn't in school and I wasn't working because I had expected to be in school, et cetera, et cetera. So I was like, you know what, maybe I could build on this because people have told me. And so maybe I'll submit to an agency and see what I can get done in a semester's time, so that when I'm back in school, maybe I'll already have my, you know, stuff together to start working. You know, it'll give me like 4 or 5 months to just focus on modeling. And then we can just pick back up where we left off with school. And so that was my thing. I had actually had a lull, and I was like, what can I do productive in this time? Because, you know, I was feeling bad about not going to school and not being on track, you know, and it ended up being a great decision down the line because I just went for something and didn't let my current circumstance, you know, weigh out all the possibility, you know.
And now you are modeling for major brands. You all, I have to apologize. I'm outside. This is my background. These kids are jumping in and out of the pool. So I am going to go inside because they're loud.
It is stunning there.
You said what now?
You are where I want to be.
Yes, I'm in West Palm Beach. I'm in
Oh
West
my
Palm Beach.
gosh.
I usually come here once a month because my husband is a traveling nurse, and he
That's
works.
awesome.
Mhm.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, so we just talked about this window that you had in school to go ahead and give it a shot. You submitted to Ursula and she accepted you. So, and then you had talked about the training that you received from Ursula. Some of the points that you gave is what you should have in your model bag, how you should dress for a casting, and the little things, kind of your nails, just the way you groom yourself. Casting agents are paying attention to that. So thank you for some of those tips. So who are some what are some brands that you've worked for? Are there any favorite special moments that you had? Did you want to talk about any you know, your favorite designers?
Yeah, I'm like very I've loved literally almost every single experience I've had, you know, working. It's like very seldom that, you know, you get that like nightmarish like model day. Like being on set with you, like that was such a lovely day. Like it was just nice, and like everyone is so great, and I love just meeting creative people and all that. But I actually got a chance to go to New York a few times, and this last actually it was 29 I mean 2019. I went up for actually it was 2020, but it was right before the pandemic hit, and I went up for Fashion Week in New York. And I had a chance to go to some castings, and I had been up a few years before over Fashion Week in hopes that, you know, I, you know, get like Chromat or Calvin Klein or one of these like huge shows. But I ended up going to a casting for this really great designer named Jasmine Trong. And so she's based out of New York. And I went, and, you know, it was like a series of castings, like callbacks, making sure that I was the right fit for the show and everything. And I got to work, like walk my first New York fashion show. And I felt like that was just such a milestone for me because, you know, it had been, I'd been going up since the winter of 18, I want to say, have just been going up there and staying for a couple months throughout Fashion Week and see what clients I can get, see if I can book a show. And while I've gotten work while doing that before, I had never booked like a live show. And I was like, I just really feel like that would be so cool as a curve model to be able to do that, you know? And also like push myself as far as like comfortability, because I love doing e-com, but it's really comfortable for me. And so it kind of pushes my boundaries for me, you know what I mean? Because I know you did a lot of runways and stuff, and I think that that's really awesome to do any sort of live modeling. And so yeah, I will say that that was awesome, and I love her as a designer too. Like, I love her pieces, and she's a plus size woman herself, so it was just a really good experience. And I've had a lot of other really great opportunities, but it was just so nice to like for a designer herself to like, you know, see it in me and like really take me under her wing and believe in me. And it was like, before I went on, she was like, soft but strong, you know what I mean? That's what we want to be. So I thought that was great. And then I've had some opportunities to go overseas and work for some clients over there. And you know, it's just the experience that I think is incredible. Just traveling alone in general is just
that's wonderful, Grace. New York Fashion Week and then traveling overseas. So let's talk about a mother agency. Ursula's a mother agency. So was she able to connect you with some of those agencies overseas, and how does that happen?
Yeah, so you know, when I first signed, I was very transparent about, you know, me being in college, but me wanting to do as much as I could do. And so I told her that I had an interest, and it was like first New York, because you know, New York, and then well, it was first Miami that she wanted to place me, because I think that was like the closest to home. And so it was Miami and then New York. And then, you know, I was like, listen, like, I'm ready to go overseas if there's any opportunity, like with, you know, over summer break with college and that kind of stuff. And so she ended up placing me with a few agencies over there. And so I would say it's just like, you know, good communication with your agent, and like being like, hey, like, you know, let them know you're ready, and let them know that you're willing and able, and that you want to take that next step. And then I think that they, you know, it's like, I think it's one of those industries that's huge, but is actually kind of small in terms of people who you know and stuff. And, you know, Ursula's been in the industry for a long time. And so, yeah, so that's kind of how that happened. And, you know, just being able, like, willing.
No, that's wonderful, Grace. So you have a comment here in our live chat. She says, Gail says you have beautiful skin.
Thank you.
Yeah, but you can't see it in the Zoom because we're connected on YouTube live stream through Zoom. So it's on the YouTube chat.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes. And this
That's
is
why I can't see it.
yeah. Okay, so where are some of the places you went overseas, Grace?
So I'd never been overseas, and I just because I was like, you know, my whole life. So the first time I went alone, which was like really, it was scary, but really cool. And so the first place I went was Hamburg, Germany, Hamburg. And then from there I went to Frankfurt, and trying to think, but I was there for a while.
In that German area.
You know, and it was in the winter months, so it was really cold, but it was really, you know, it was really beautiful. Pretty.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, is like, I think that in any other, you know, world, I wouldn't have been able to get myself over there. But it's like, you know, if you get an agency, they can get a good client that'll fly you out, which is the reason I was able to, you know. But so that was really great. And then I saw Marseille, France for the first time. And I visited Paris and London.
I got somebody asking, how tall are you?
I am Ursula says I'm 5'10.5" to not scare anyone off, but I'm pretty close to 6 feet.
You're 6 feet. Okay. She is 6 feet. We have a curve model that's asking that. Her name is Lakita. She's on. Hey, Lakita. Hey, Gil. Thank you for coming on to Model Talk Tuesdays. We have an awesome
Hi.
one this week. So one thing, Grace, I have to commend you on of what I've been hearing through this dialogue and conversation is your initiative. Your initiative to have dialogue with your agent, to
Yeah.
explain your vision, your initiative to go to New York every season, or, kind of dropping seeds to go to New York. So what is the next chapter for Grace? I am a fan of Grace, you all. I hope I'm not putting her on the spot, but I'm pushing because for me, I personally feel like she has it all to get on that big stage. So being that you have vision and you clearly, talk to Ursula about the things that you want to do you know what your next chapter is going to be, Grace?
Yes, I do.
You say yes, you do?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I'm planning on moving to New York in August.
I was afraid to ask you because you know how you're moving, but okay, so awesome. August.
Yes, yes.
Wonderful.
I'm really excited, and I appreciate you saying, that I take initiative, but that's also, I feel like, any advice I could give is definitely like, don't let any no's stop you. You know what I mean? Like, just keep going for it, because, what's for you is for you. And like, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Like, not to be corny in any type of way, but it's just genuinely like, don't let anyone stop you. Like, because I think like doubt and worry about coming off some certain type of way for, pushing for what you want, don't let that be like misconstrued into whatever. Anyway, but I am, wait, what did you want to say?
No, I had a thought while you were talking, but you go ahead, Grace. You go. I was gonna say you're a curve model, and the industry, is blooming in that area where we had Precious Lee. She came out of Atlanta,
Yeah.
and she has blown up in the curve model scene. The curve model life is no different. What is the curve model life? Do you feel like there's advantages now because the market is opening up? Could you kind of speak from that perspective?
Yeah, I definitely feel like the curve modeling industry especially is like very, it's blooming into something that's really wonderful, I think, because I think that the industry in general has been needing a change, as I'm sure that like you can attest to as well throughout your career. And just like, being in it, you see a lot of things that you wish were different. And even I think in the time, since the time that I started, when I started, I felt like it was like the big faces like Precious Lee and like Barbie Fiera and all of these kinds of girls who are killing it, and it's awesome. But I'm seeing a lot more curve models that maybe aren't as big names that are getting work, and like I see them in Target ads and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. She has like 3,000 followers on Instagram and she is just plastered up in Target. She doesn't have, you know what I mean? Just and I wanted to say, like, I don't know who was asking about height and I don't know her height, but I think it's opening up a lot in terms of height as well. It's all about how you photograph. And so even like with height aspects, like, or whatever society wants to tell you you aren't enough of or too much of, whatever, like there is a market and there are people that look just like you that they want to see you represent them in stores. And it's, and I also wanted to say that I don't think modeling has a lot to do with this might sound weird, but I don't think modeling actually has that much to do with like our actual features or actually like being pretty. It's like if you are signed or you have come this far, it's for a reason, and it's a lot about, you know, movement and attitude and, you know, being yourself, and keep on trying, because, you know, 1,000 no's can happen, but then that one yes just keeps you going, and that just means you're going to go that much further. So
I'm glad you mentioned that, because in terms of like markets and consumers looking for people that look like them, I think they just signed, or IMG signed, a Down syndrome model, you know, the handicap, you know, it's just so many markets are opening up for models, you know, from
yes.
different groups and different spaces. So this was an interesting question, because models are usually asked this, but she's saying from a curve perspective, is it difficult to maintain your weight because you want to stay curved? You get what I'm saying? You don't want to lose any weight. So yeah.
Honestly, when I first got signed, I didn't say anything about this, but when I first applied, you know, I had said that I had a bad recovery. And so it was a tonsillectomy surgery. So I wasn't eating much. And so I was actually at my lowest, and I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to do this modeling thing, I better do it now, which is awful. But, you know, I ended up still getting, you know, signed as a curve model. And at first, I wasn't curvy enough. And it was like, okay, Grace, like you need to get in front of the mirror and you need to like learn how to really accentuate your curves. And, you know, there was even a couple of times where I think like my photos would get edited a little bit to view me as curvier. And so that at first I was like, oh, wow, you know, that was mind blowing to me. I'm like, you know, these straight size models are, you know, trying to maintain their slimness, and then the curve models are in between that they're calling now. They're not curvy enough. And so I think that was kind of strange, because it was kind of hard to navigate as someone who is a pretty, you know, throughout my entire life, I've gone from like a 10 to a 14. Like it's just it's been stuck in there. And so, you know, for the last 4 or 5 years, I've stayed around the 12, 14 range. And that's just been my happy spot right there. And I will say that, you know, my body type, I definitely eat what I want, and just enjoy my life. And, you know, I haven't been too concerned about that. It's always just like how I'm feeling in my health first, you know.
Well, that was a good question. And like you said, it's kind of like a switch where, you know, they're trying to tell I don't know, standard model, everything. I'm trying to be ethically, politically correct. A standard model, but every model is a standard model anyway. But yes, they'll try to tell them to lose weight, and then they're trying to tell you to plump up. Even my husband is trying to tell me to plump up because, you know, he wants me to be thicker. So we'll see what happens with the next phase of my life, but we'll see. But yes. Okay, let's see.
I will say, I'm sorry, but I will say that I do have a friend who's like in the curve industry, and she lost weight over the years, but she's still working. And you know, I think that curve is anything that's over, you know, straight size. So I think it's however you fluctuate is okay. You know, that's all.
I think so too, because I remember when I first signed with Ursula, like, you know, I'm kind of an in-between, and she was like, the industry is changing, you know, like it's fine, you know, we'll book you. Because for me working, it was like I had to stay on the slimmer side, but as you know, years pass by, you get a little bit of weight on you. So I'm glad that the industry is changing and being more inclusive. Okay, and then Gail said the average woman is actually a size 12 to 14. So, you know, the industry, you know what I'm saying? The industry should be mimicking what's actually out there walking in the streets. And I think, Gail, that's exactly what happened. So I don't want to hold you too long. I want to thank you, Grace, for, you know, sharing with us your journey. So I know do you have some favorite models? I know you have put out a couple of names. I can't recall which ones you said, but I guess what I can close with is there a pearl of wisdom that you can give our students, the ones that are interested in this industry? You gave us so many gems, you know, but anything that you would want to leave with the students for any of them that are interested in entering this world?
I think I would say just, you know, keep your head up, because, you know, this is a very vain industry at the end of the day, or it can be, but it can, you know, just know what you got to offer and don't get so distracted in like your external appearance, because, you know, if you're doing this, you've already made it there. So like, you get a blemish or something, don't freak out about it. Don't get lost in the external, you know, be confident in what you got to offer, and don't take no for an answer, or don't let rejection make you reject yourself, you know?
Oh, there you go. There go the t-shirt. But no, I like that you said that. Let's not focus on our external, because as models, you immediately think I got to focus on my external. But what it really is, what I gathered from you is it's the it factor, you know, going inside and establishing who you are inside and creating that energy for people to want to have you align with their brand.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, you know, as you get older, it's not like you're only relying on your external appearance for your worth, you know, like, you know what you have to offer. And I think that's really cool, because it actually is, you know, it's a job that requires a lot of you, and like you got to be able to do, I mean, you know, like it was a couple weeks ago that we were traveling to this shoot, and it's like, of course we're gonna do that, it's work, but you know, like there's preparation and work that goes behind it, that it's hard work. So just
Hey, Shariana, I'm just, these chat people, I got to give them a shout out. Hey, Madison and Rochelle. So yes, Grace was just talking about our Hanes thing. So just to kind of give you all some transparency, if you all are thinking a fan is blowing on us and, you know, this was for catalog work, would you say? E-commerce catalog?
yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes you're standing there for hours just doing different poses, but those are just stepping stones. And there's so many different areas in the fashion industry. Is there one that you like more than the other? Runway, print, fashion?
I will say I like print the best, probably, you know, if it's recognizable, because, you know, the pay's a little bit better, and you also get to get your hair and makeup done. Because, you know, that's another thing, is like, you know, modeling is work. Sometimes it's not our face at all. And so it's not this like glamorous thing you think it is. It's like, no, you're just a pair of legs to model these pants. And so it's not, it's, you know, it's still working. And so I would say that I think print's my favorite, because, you know, you get to tap into a different personality in whatever you're wearing. You know, got the sunglasses on, got the tote bag, pretending to be a whole mom, you know, so.
And shout out to all of the fashion industry professionals that make us look so fabulous and creative. Yes. And utilize us as their muses. Like, really, shout out to all of you all.
Yeah.
So everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. I want to thank my fabulous guest, Grace Edwards, for being a guest for our Model Talk Tuesdays. Can you shout out your Instagram so any of the students that want to follow you?
Yes, my Instagram is at SheToo Graceful. She Too Graceful.
Okay, now you all remember when I told y'all, like when y'all say, I'm just okay. Well, you got a good luck in NYC in the comments, Grace. And
thank you.
Yes, and you all, this interview will be up live on our YouTube, and tune in next week for our next guest for Model Talk Tuesdays. Thank you so much. And hold on, Grace, let me just